minting of Zen and increase the price of gas and everything, and how many people are coming in now, it could even kick off or start of a bull market, or slowly start to reverse the trend, in crypto, and and uh, and decorrelate from the financial market also, because they are kind of still dependent on what's happening in a global financial market. But it could also be a catalyst towards a bull market.
Hey,
could,
honey,
theoretically.
that
Yeah.
that stream you're talking about, the conversation last night, I PM'd you the link to the YouTube from the stream last night if you want to check back on it sometime.
Yes, I saw. Thanks. I
Okay,
did
cool.
see. Thank you.
Okay, cool. You're welcome.
I mean, it is possible theoretically, but given the macro environment and all that, I mean, I wouldn't bet on that kind of capital, right? At this point, I think really what matters is just setting up the network, even though the fees are low. Okay, so it's not a tremendous amount of capital, I mean, relatively speaking, but it's still millions of wallets and potential users. And we're setting ourselves up for the next bull market, like the next actual bull market, independent of Zenith alone, but the overall markets. And that's where we're going to see what the seeds that we sowed, right? Because in that bull market, that's where it's going to be very surprising, because now you have a network that's there and ready to go and participate in that market. Imagine all the coins, imagine all the devs, all the tech and the infrastructure. You know how they try to go find where the users are and attract users to their projects and their services, their coins, right? Like, how many projects are going to want to tap into the Zen network, regardless of how much money is there at any given time, but the wallets.
Yeah, and we really have to think all clearly or carefully and educate people who really came just to Zen and they haven't done anything else with crypto, because we as as OGs, we know what happens. And when somebody sees some entity that there is millions of addresses, they will do airdrops which will be malicious, with a malicious intent, and we really need to, I think, raise this topic that people do not claim something they don't know. It's been not has not been researched, because they will go to the address and they will see crap loads of stuff there being airdropped, and it will just be very dangerous,
Absolutely. I completely agree with that. And that was actually raised yesterday, that point. And I think it's very much important. Like, it's very much part, I mean, it's a little bit more esoteric in a way, but not, that doesn't take away its importance, that the whole Zen education aspect, that part, and I'm very much involved in that. Like, I understand that part, like allowing people to onboard, people who have not so much experience, are learning or wanting to learn. Very, very important to learn them about, the security and good mindset from the beginning, and the positive experience for the whole, project, and to maintain that. It's not just on the first day, right, before the launch, but it's the whole time that needs to be present. And I think it's been going great so far. I mean, there's a saying that says how things begin, anything begins, is the greatest indicator of where it's going.
That's a good one. Yeah.
And like an example I was giving, like, just a way of looking at it. It's like, it's a known fact that young people, very young people, you know, teenagers, 13, 14, 15, 16 years old, have been known to be some of the most creative developers, right? It's just a fact in the video game industry and stuff. Those kids, they think of things that just the older developers, they don't think about. And they solve problems that we're eluding. And there's a tremendous amount of potential in that, those young creators. But the obstacle for a young creator in developing or participating is usually the possibility, like how do you get hired in a company as a developer when you're 13, 14 years old, you know, and how do you have any financial capacities to do anything, right? So the Zen, the fact that they can mint their own coins, that they can access an actual market, social networks of sorts, and that social network has the currency that they can accept very easily, very readily in their dApps or whatever. They don't have to have Visa and onboarding and KYC or things like that. That's a tremendous value. So I think a good mindset in terms of educating and onboarding is to just view the Zen user as if maybe they're one of those, maybe that's one of them, right? So to bring up just very complex, and you know, you have to let everybody on board and learn and start from the starting point, and not get too you know, too you know, because sometimes people they're trying to do degen play, or like they're thinking in those terms. You know, it's really not. It's not really the focus. Like, you know, where's the liquidity pool? Who did this, that, and you know, what's the price? And oh, and da da da. You know, and it's cool as well, but it's not the way to win in the longer term, to focus on those things.
But what if I want to contribute to the liquidity pool?
Yeah, so that's a very good point of people.
Well, I have set up today already on a Binance chain, on a Pancake Swap, a liquidity pool, just to test how it is and just to be part of it. And it is there sitting and doing its thing, so it's good.
Say that again. You said pancake swap.
Yeah, I did well, part of a liquidity pool on a Pancake Swap. Yeah, I did a pair BNB X BNB basically. Yeah.
Your objective, because that depends a lot, like what side of the trade are you wanting, and are you wanting to sell or to buy more so, or is it just for the fees and you're willing
Oh, it's
to
just purely just for the fees and so the liquidity in general it's higher because it was very low, like 15K on Pancake Swap for Zen, and just to I don't know, keep it more stable, and you know, like it's a very insignificant amount, you know, just like maybe like like $100, you know, in total. But
are you using V3 and setting a range to protect yourself from impermanent loss, or are you using V2 and just going?
no, V2 50/50, and just testing it how it is, you know. And
Careful. I mean, you're likely going to get wrecked like that. So I'm just warning you. Like, if you use V2,
oh yeah, I'm aware of impermanent loss, and especially with the low liquidity assets, you know, it's dangerous play. So that's why I'm doing with very little amount. What I'm willing to lose.
if you use read 3 and set a range for the price, okay, and just allow the whatever range you think you want to accept. I mean, you could use it both ways, to sell or to buy. So you could be just set up so that if the price were to get so low, I don't think we're there yet, like in time. The price is just going to be going down and down still for quite a while, but you could do it that way and just pick up liquidity if you want to buy up Zen at low prices and supply the USD, the UST, whatever side of the coin, USDC, USDT. You could pick up Zen at a good price. That's a way of supplying liquidity. If I were to do it, that's what I'll be
Yeah,
doing.
that's what I do on Uniswap V3. Yes, V3. So I have there some one side, set to, and it's just sitting there and waiting whether it gets, filled in or not. So yeah. But also it's like I'm with the liquidity providing and all these things. I'm just learning and just kind of getting ready for a bull market, and when there is more opportunities, for this, and this is just a test. But yeah, but
you'll be ready to go. I mean, if you're learning and just seeing, and so if you do it with small amounts, you it's not huge risk.
yeah, and I did what I'm looking now on the pool. So yeah, I am and like a year, like LP reward per year. It's ridiculous, on a pancake swap. It's 592% per year, but of course with the liquidity 16,000, and I have a very small share of the pool, but just
they're gonna play with that. I mean, okay. So just to give perspective, I was talking about this yesterday. To anyone wondering or doesn't exactly understand what's going on with the price or what it's supposed to be. So I did a test yesterday. I had made 2 stakes of 7-day stakes, right? And it was day 7. And I had done those stakes on day 1. So they were not late. They were perfectly timed in sync with the actual project. On day 1, 7-day stake, and then I looked at the price that they were going for on day 7 as I claimed them. Okay. And what I noticed is that they were still a little bit, they were still overvalued a little bit, around 18% overvalued to what I had paid for them. Okay. But with all the swapping around, I was coming under nonetheless. But regardless of because it's just one mint, so you're paying full fees for just a small mint. That's not going to be profitable. But just to see the price of the Zen itself, so it was 18% beyond the cost it cost me. But that's going to keep going down, and the objective is that Zen reaches full price discovery, and that 18% is just an indication of the exact day for the exact same term. Today will be 8 days, and it would be an 8-day mint that you could compare with, not a 7-day mint, an 8-day mint, and tomorrow, and then after that, a 9-day mint. And you compare that price and see how it's finding the fair price, right? It was 18% over yesterday. Maybe it'll be 16, 15% over today. Eventually, it's going to get to fair price. But here's the point: is that my stake that I did on day 1, if I did a stake that was 350 days, okay, the amount I got from that, okay, the estimate of say 30 million, okay, or 25 million, if I put that now and I look in a liquidity pool on Uniswap, that's worth $900, right? That's not worth the price that I paid at all. So it shows an indication of how far we have to go to come to the really more fair price, at least on the 1-year time range, which is quite where a lot of people have set their long mints. So we have to go from the price is going to keep dropping from where now 25, 30 million would be worth around $800-900 it has to come down to at about the price I paid for it to attain fair price, okay, without any price appreciation yet. So maybe in a year it'll be worth, $8, $10. If it's worth 15, that'll be already a 50% gains. But to think it's not going to be going down and down and down as it's trying to reach true price discovery, as the supply hits the market and people are putting it, especially at the 100-day mark, it's going to zoom quickly to new price discovery, and it's going to like that, So people are buying it now. They're really buying it at really high price, and they're not understanding this, and they're thinking, oh man, there's so many zeros and just going down and down. The price of Zen is going. No, it's not going down whatsoever. It's actually 18%, still 18% above fair price. You see what I'm saying?
Yeah. So definitely those long-term ones are easier, and it's just also less stress and everything. But I'm also experimenting with the 7-day ones and 14-day ones. How it will play out in this time range.
I highly expect that's going to be, you're going to have the same scenario. So if you did a 14-1 on day one, when you're going to come to sell it, it's going to be around fair price, maybe not 18% over, maybe 10% over. It could spike. There could be a little green candle. Depends on how the people set up their mints and what's hitting the market when in terms of supply. So there could be a little lack of supply relating to the demand, but it will be a little green candle, but it'll vacillate. But roughly, you should be around fair price. Problem is, if you're doing that on one mint and you have to sell it and swap it and you're paying all those fees, it's not going to be profitable, obviously. But someone who maybe did 100 of them, if someone had did 100 of 14-day stakes, maybe if they claim and share them all to one wallet, and then they just do one single swap, maybe a little bit. But if you do a 30-day mint or a 14-day mint on day 14 or day 30, you won't be able to reach it. You're chasing. It'll have.
Yeah.
You see what I'm saying? Yeah.
Yeah. Because what I did was on a third day, I did a 7-day. But I wanted to try rotation. Like I wanted to try what will happen if I will have every day coming out, let's say 10 addresses for a week. So I did on third day 10 addresses. So where I did first day, first was 7 days. So let's say for sake of example, I started on Sunday. So my first one would come Sunday in a week. And then I wanted to have every day coming out one, but I did all of them at one day. So I would do like day 1, 7 day. Day 2 would be 8 day. Day 3 was 9 day. Day 4 was 10 day. And I like this. I went to 1 week, but I started in one day. And this way, you will get every day a little more Zen than if you would do, just for 7 days. I don't know if you understand what I mean. And like this, you average more Zen than if you would do like every day, for 7 days, consistently.
Right, but you're still out of sync with the actual price discovery market.
Yeah. And the first 7-day one came out today, and it was 20% loss.
Right, that makes sense.
So yeah, so it was just for experiment, not insane amount, but I just wanted to see the numbers, whether it makes sense or and because of this, I did not sell it. I'm just staking it now. for 1,000 day with 20%.
I mean, that's a great investment, even if you take a little loss there. I mean, for those who are doing those kinds of things and doing their own experiments and thought processes and research, I mean, it's an investment, but I think it totally pay off in the long run. Now you can easily cost average down any losses and understand the better strategy and way to play about it. And there's no rush. You still have plenty of time to do that and end up with a total average cost on your Zen to being optimal, as opposed to just playing something without having done your research and just not have choosing the right strategy. So this is giving
Yeah,
you a lot of intimate
yeah,
understanding.
and I locked in 20% interest now, or APY, and because you can end it anytime you want, and you get the principal back. So when in the future, within those 1,000 days, I will the price would go direction that I would go over the initial investment and what's in the stake, what's in APY, then you can end the stake, and just drop it on the market like this, because you don't leave, you're not losing your principal.
Yeah, no, I know, and I've heard people say that, but I will say it's mathematically highly improbable. It's quite highly improbable, actually. So yeah, just know that it's very improbable. So it's
Yeah,
not a good thing to get into, because some people are
yeah,
wanting to use the APY, but the APY is 20% at the best, whereas the minting terms, it's basically 1 times more per day. So if you choose 300 days, you have 300 times more roughly than if you do a 1 day. It's the APY on that is incomparable with the staking. We're talking of a
oh,
3,000.
absolutely. Like if I did one address, so one address with 7 day mint yielded, what is it, around 350,000 Zen. If I stake it for 1 year now, for 1,000 days, which is 60%, you would get roughly around, what is it, around 550K Zen. And if I would do one mint for the same price for 300 days, I get 20 million, So it's no brainer. Yeah. So definitely long term still plays out better than any other
What
theory.
just wanted to say, I agree with what you're saying about the pricing for the most part, but you're not taking into account the free market and people that buy in because they don't want to mint or they don't know to mint. I mean, there's a lot of different variables that come into play.
There
Yeah,
is, but if you look at that variable, okay, and analyze it, you're going to see that more time passes, more understanding people are going to gain, and obviously, as people realize their misconceptions, the supply is hitting the market, it's hitting their wallets, and as they're gaining more and more understanding, and this knowledge is spreading, it's going to be a greater incentive for them to take any pump, any green candle very quickly. So it becomes a very improbable play on the one hand, and very short lived if it does occur, and very difficult to catch. So I mean, it's for each their own, but I wouldn't speculate on that one, because the supply is hitting the market constantly. If I were to do speculation like that and try to time the market, I would prefer to do it with a coin that has a fixed supply and is not hitting the market constantly, and incentivizing people to dump, and trust that those green candles are held a little bit longer on a fixed supply coin, and choose that coin if I wanted to speculate. Zen is a very difficult one to speculate on.
We literally have no idea what's going to happen for a couple years to come. Absolutely.
Yeah,
We don't know
and
if
for
people are
those
going to
people,
forget.
yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
I was going to say, we don't know if people are going to forget. We don't know if people are going to get tired of claiming the rewards. We don't know, just human nature, right? We don't know if mint We don't know if the minting is going to be crazy expensive and people are going to want to pass up on a mint because you got to pay money for the gas. I mean, to claim. It's crazy. What I do know is freaking Levin is living out here in Silicon Valley and worked at Google, and he has a good reputation. And what I do know is the founders of Google used to live in Susan Wojcicki's garage, and she's the CEO of YouTube now, and her sister is the freaking CEO of 23andMe. So again, what I do know is the network in Silicon Valley is absolutely insane. This is the first time that we see someone publicly come out from Silicon Valley and basically create a crypto like this who's completely doxxed. So the networking power is absolutely insane. So that's like the
Yeah.
ace. That's like the ace in the sleeve, right? It's a networking power that this guy has, plus his good reputation, plus the freaking foundation of like Bitcoin Foundation almost of this token. So it's gonna be crazy. We can't anticipate what the price is gonna be. All I know is gonna keep dumping for a long time, and the only way to go is gonna be up. So we'll see.
And I'd add to that, like, yeah, that's a very good point. And we do know that. And I was just saying earlier, like the beginning of a project is the best indicator. Like the beginning is always the best indicator of events of where things are going. And I'd add that Jack, on top of it, of all that network effect and connections that he has, he's on top of it. I would say a very likable, charming dev. I mean, I think he warrants trust and inspiration as a dev, just himself. So that's another plus, right? And I think, yeah, to quite an extent. So that's a big plus. On the side of what we were just talking of the upside speculation, there's some information kind of interesting that we do know. And I was gathering this yesterday. So as to what could happen if there's could there be pressure on the upside in the short term, and is there a trade to do? Well, I looked at the liquidity yesterday, and what I saw is that there was basically 1 billion Zen in the liquidity pool, okay, on Uniswap. And there was 45 billion Zen liquid in wallets, right? And what that shows us is that people are not dumping it. Okay, they're not dumping below the fair price. I did the calculation yesterday, and on a 7-day mint, on the 7th day, the price was still 18% above what I paid for it. Disregard all the transactions of swapping it, and then I end
That's
up
awesome.
right. So it was still 18%. It's not worthwhile, right? Because once I swap it, now I'm under, right? But nonetheless, the price of Zen itself was still 18%. Now I expect the price discovery to continue and to get closer to just exactly fair price. But the point is that what was interesting to me was that 45 billion liquid on the side was not emptying the liquidity. It was not dumping into the 1 billion and taking the 20,000 or whatever USDT, USDC was there. So that shows that the market is understanding where the price is and holding on to their bags as opposed to dumping it at a loss. However, if there were to be a green candle, okay, and a pressure upwards, it's easy to see the proportion already of liquid that will be ready to sell out and take profit. So for that reason, I would say there's, as the supply keeps gathering in the liquidity, there seems to be the intelligence not to dump it, but that doesn't mean there's not the risk that profit be taken very quickly, and that'll be very difficult to catch that side of the trade.
Yeah, that's pretty reassuring to know that 1 billion isn't getting dumped. You know, because that after all the trading and stuff, you just kind of lose hope. Like, oh man, people are just inevitably greedy, by nature. But it's cool to see that they're actually have some promise.
And that totally is expected. on anything which is like any kind of true market, and that is on the upside in terms of adoption, as opposed to anything which is a rug or has major FUD. You know, then you can totally see rugs, and you can see liquidity getting dried up like just about instantly, and just people dumping and cutting their losses. And this is not what we're seeing, regardless of any of the things that came out in the news, you know, FTX or the batch tool or things like that, or anything. And they're holding on to their Zen, and the intelligence of the market is just doing exactly what it was supposed to do, or that is expected. So I'm watching that, but that was very, very, reassuring and interesting to see.
Yeah, well, thanks for finding those little fun facts, because I wouldn't have looked at that.
Yeah. Do you have, by any chance, did you, maybe in the beginning or something on day one, did you choose to do any shorter term mints, like maybe in the 30-day range or something like that?
Were you asking me or the other guy?
Well, whoever, actually, I mean, doesn't matter. Because it offers an opportunity to do the same thing at that point in time. Like, it's like you're taking a sample, right? You're looking at the, you know, you're testing the waters, you're checking the pH level, right? Kind of thing. That's why I did it. Yeah. So if anyone has a 30-day stake done on day one, you can check. What you can do is just very simply on that 30th day, and you claim your stake. And as long as it was on day one, because that's really is what gives you the perfect sample. And you can still do it on day, if you did it on day two, and it would be a little bit off, but on day one is perfect. And then you just check what the liquidity pools are offering you. And the only thing that matters is that it's equal or above, or slightly above, or slightly below is always possible, but close to what you paid for it. And if you do that, and there's still a bunch of liquidity in the market, and the liquidity pools are not as big as what's available in the wallet, then it just shows that the price discovery is perfectly fine-tuned and recognizing the true value of Zen.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, and then currently there is a very interesting last 10 minutes where we are speaking here. It's very interesting price action also. It's like like several big buys, you know. So yeah, it doesn't mean anything, but somebody just spent $5,000 for 128 million Zen, you know. So
Really? People are
yeah,
buying it?
yeah,
Wow.
there is a spike. We are 4.5% up for last 24 hours. Since we started, it's the first
Wow.
green number. Yeah.
That's
Right.
hilarious.
Yeah, I know it
That's going to
doesn't mean
keep
anything.
happening. It's going to keep happening because earlier, like we're talking, like new incomers are not going to all come on day 1, 2, and 3. You know, there's going to be week 2 and week 2 and 3 and 4, where people are hearing about it, and you always have these guys, you know, people that are a bit degen, like they really they have bags, and they think in those terms, so they buy up and they try to play it on the trade. So that will probably always be occurring somewhat. But the first guys that did that, I mean, they got wrecked. Like that guy that spent 100K, right, on day, I don't know, it was day 1 or day 2.
Oof.
The tweet from today, you mean, which was on the then he has like 800 from 100K or something.
So, like,
No,
basically, it sounds like you're saying everybody should sell their day one mints because it's inevitable the price is going to go down until it reaches parity.
Basically, but if now is too late to sell it, so you might as well just accept and just hold it. I would say
Yeah.
hold it.
Yeah. If you got your day one mints, don't sell that,
What do
dude,
you
because you're
mean
gonna sell it at a
what do you
massive
mean
loss.
it's too late now?
Too late now. I mean, it's sorry to say, but it's just fact. Like, it's too late to do anything with the 1 day mints. You could have sold them on day one and
No,
made
no,
huge
no,
profit.
no, no, no. The day one mints, as in you minted them on day one for the length of days, the same amount of time since Genesis, but you minted them on day one, not 1 day mints.
Okay, but that are the current day, like a 30-day mint on day one, on day 30.
Today's day 9, right? So like you
Yeah,
minted it day one and it was a 9 day mint.
it's
Right,
still
right.
profitable. It's still profitable.
Well, not if
Yeah,
it's
but
not
what I'm saying is it sounds like you're saying that everybody needs to go ahead and sell those because I mean the price is gonna ebb and flow. It's gonna pump, it's gonna dump. I mean, it's not inevitable that it goes down forever or for a year or whatever.
No, it's going to
I
go down. It's going to go
Yes, it's
down
gonna
for a
go
year.
down. It's inevitable. That's gonna go down, bro. It's gonna go down hard for like at
Dude,
least a
I
year.
believe it's going to go down. I do. But what I'm telling you is it's not inevitable. You have so many people that don't know what the hell they're doing and they're buying on the open market. You got other people that just don't want to mint, they can't wait, and they're buying on the open market. So it's not inevitable. The market cap is low enough and
No,
it doesn't take that many buys to keep it going.
no, but the point is that it's not inevitable that there's going to be those instances and there's going to be green candles, like he just mentioned. Ali just mentioned 5 minutes ago that it just occurred. But the overall market has a bunch of liquidity already in their wallets, far more than what's in the liquidity pools, and they'll likely readjust the price very quickly. Okay, and it's just the most amount of people are not going to make that mistake. The knowledge, the understanding is just going to grow, and people will readjust to what is the better way to do about
I
it. I don't
agree,
think
but
that.
I'm telling
Right.
you, there's going to be times where the price is going to pump. You know, because not that many people have mints due in a certain period of time, like say days 30 through 90 or something. The price is going to pump at times because there's not going to be that
Exactly.
many people that minted, and there's going
Yeah,
to be more buyers than you think.
yeah. There could be gaps like that, but just don't forget that the liquidity on the side is there, ready to pounce in, right? So how long will those green candles last when you have all that supply waiting on the side? That's the thing where I'm saying, if I were to speculate and try to catch those trades, I'd be more using a coin with a fixed supply and not so much extra liquidity or incentive to sell and catch the green candle. Because certain projects, when there's a green candle, you don't necessarily sell. You're like you hold it and hoping another green candle comes. But in this case, if you see a big green candle, like, you better run right away to go unload, because it's going to likely be very quick, short-lived.
Oh, I agree, 100%. I agree with that. But there, I mean, there's also like this kind of strategy going where, I'm trying to figure out where the least amount of mints coming due are, what period of time. Um, because there's going to be periods of time, brief periods of time, where if you've got some mints that come due within a certain time frame, well, everybody else is doing 1 and 2 day mints, or maybe they're doing shorter than 30-day mints, but you do a 60 or something, and there's not as many that come due because on day one, a lot of people minted for 100 days max and then went out to 300 days max. So maybe day 60 or whatever doesn't have a lot coming due. I haven't checked. But I mean, there's that game of strategy going on too, as
Yeah,
well, because
I understand. I understand your reasoning there, but just don't forget to introduce in the equation that all the previous mints, okay, they're some of them are holding them. They're on the sidelines, just waiting for that, right? So it's not just about the ones that are finishing today, but the ones that are held in wallets liquid also. That wall, which is just ready to take any kind of profit. You have to consider that part too, that's waiting there.
do we know how much is sitting out there that people haven't sold yet for whatever reason, that they're holding back,
Yeah.
waiting for a pump or whatever?
Exactly. Well, that's what I was talking about like 15 minutes ago. And the beginning of this part of the conversation was that yesterday I did some tests with like to get the price, the fair discovery and all that, and was still 18% above fair price. And that was very cool. But what I found also in looking at the chain and the different liquidity pools was that, and very interesting, was that there was basically 1 billion in the liquidity pools, 1 billion Zen, okay, but there was 45 billion liquid in wallets, and they were not dumping it because the market
Now is 1.2 billion in liquidity pool and 57.2 billion in liquid supply.
there you go. So that 57 billion could just drain the liquidity pool right now. Someone could decide to sell a billion and just take out the USDC, right? But they're not doing it because the market seems to understand that
Well, if somebody could do that, they would effectively rug the project. Are you saying someone, a single holder, could effectively rug the project?
multiple holders at this point.
There must be more to the story. I can't believe Jack would design a token where multiple holders has the ability to rug the token.
Why would someone reasonably sell at a tremendous loss right now? Because if they do that, they're going to get far less than what they paid in gas, right? So by doing that, why would they do that?
I still
Early in
think
the project.
all these
I mean, you can
liquid
sit there
supply.
and check DEX tools all day long. You've got people that buy and then, 10 minutes later they sell for a loss. I mean, a lot of people are just,
Yeah, but this
I
is a
don't know,
different
not very
beast.
smart, but I mean, it does
This
happen. It does
this
happen
is
though.
a different beast, dude. This is like early adopter of early adopters. I got DGen friends that aren't even in this, dude. So I feel like people who are in this understand the risk and they're just holding because they understand it's just like some beast that just no one really knows what's gonna happen yet, and they know it's gonna a
But
long term play. That's why I think it's not getting rugged yet.
and also I think all this liquid supply, maybe that this is all bots which minted for a very short time, and now they are in a loss and they're not selling it because they're waiting for the whatever happens. And also the rate of wallets are or addresses minted by bots is slowing down. You can see just it's very slow increase now. So I think they must be in a tremendous loss. And this is beautiful on the price, how it's
Hell
kind of
yeah.
self balances and pushes out bots.
Hell yeah, dude. I love it. People go mad about the bots. I'm like, dude, let them buy in the beginning. They're gonna get washed out.
Yeah, this is what's happening right now, I think.
You have to understand like what a rug is. Like, what does it really mean? Like when something rugs,
I know
okay,
what a rug is.
no, but what causes a rug? A rug
A
is
rug is
either
when
it
the
is
liquid, it depends on what type of rug pool it is. There's different
right,
variations on a
different
rug. There's
different
different
types
names
of
for
rugs.
rugs, but a rug is when the liquidity pool gets emptied completely and there's nothing left.
Right, of course. But the point I'm making here is that you can have a rug, for example, where the dev is dishonest and he had a whole allocation and he rugs a project. That's a type of rug. Here we know that's not in the options because there's no dev that has allocated coins. So that one is out of question, right? So what other types of rugs are there? There's rugs where there's tremendous fear in the market because of some kind of exploit or bad news or problem in the code, and people get so freaked out, right, that they just dump and they cut their losses. That's a way that a rug can occur. And here there's not anything of that really that would create a general panic at this time. And no, right? So that's not, so that explains why they're not dumping. Like, why would they dump? They just minted them and the project is just going. It's going super well. The adoption has been beat all records. So what kind of rug could there be that people would be willing to sell below the price that they actually paid for the coin and decide that they're going to cut their losses?
I mean, you'd have to have some type of exploit or something like that. I mean, something crazy for something like that to even happen. I just can't even imagine. I didn't even think about the fact that it was even a possibility that something like that could happen.
And then the other thing is that, okay, let's say there is some bad news. Let's say there's a FUD, something, and maybe not even related to Zen. It'd just be the overall market, right? How many people are on the sideline right now, okay, who are not prone to fear that much, who will understand whatever's going on a little bit better maybe than those who are panicking, and are just waiting for that to swoop in and pick up that side of the trade. I know already for a fact that there's a bunch that are hoping and waiting for some kind of opportunity to pick it up.
Well, that's good. Like for me personally, I'm the last one of my friends that's still in the coin, and I'm minting 4 to 5 wallets every day on top of the 100 that I already had from day one. But I'm getting more and more bullish the more people I see that appear to be giving up on it or appear to be frustrated or whatever. That's just making me more bullish about the long-term prognosis of the project.
In a
Because
way, yes.
if everybody's given up on it, the coin's not going anywhere. I mean, there's just going to be less of it in circulation because less people will be minting it, and which is bullish for our bags, you know.
But in a how to say, like not in a, okay, what's the express in French we say force majeure, force majeure, not in a force majeure way. The strongest bullishness comes from the fact that people are adopting and onboarding and not getting wrecked, and that there's not like a tremendous amount of frustration and FUD. So it's good to try to help and educate people so that they don't get wrecked, and that just keeps on going and going and going. I mean, we're looking for the long term here, the Google, the Amazon kind of play, right? The Hex kind of play. So yeah, but yeah, if you look at it just in terms of total supply and the liquidity in the shorter term, yes, it would be more bullish if there's less supply. But I think the better optic is to try to help people on board and do keep up and claim and all that stuff. And if there is some FUD, I mean, this is inevitable. People are going to get wrecked. A lot of people already got wrecked on the first day, just FOMOing in and not even reading the white paper, but they'll learn their lesson, right? And they'll come back. And I'm sure if you've been in crypto for a while, it has happened to you that you sold out of something and you decided to come back or look at it a second time when things were picking back up, right? Be Bitcoin or whatever.
Sure, yeah. But like originally, I was thinking the total supply would be similar to Hex. But I mean, I've already run into a few 1-day penalties because I was a day late. I've got so many wallets, I missed a couple of them. I know other people must be running into that too. I'm thinking the total supply might end up being less than Hex at this point when all's said and done.
Yeah, it'll be
Well,
interesting to see what the total supply, how it pans out from expectations to reality. Because now we could kind of calculate what it would be from looking at all the mints and the terms and all that. But yeah, definitely there'll be. I was estimating like a 25% loss of people not claiming, forgetting, or not wanting to pay the gas fees. Someone said the other day, who's quite an OG actually, and he was extremely bullish on the project. This guy, he was in a great conversation. This guy was in like all the major projects, got them at like dirt cheap prices. And he said that he had never been so bullish on a project as this one. And yeah, what was I just lost my thread of thinking there. Oh,
We were talking about total supply and
right. Total supply. his estimate was in the 60 to 70% range. He thought that people wouldn't claim.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Shoot. Well, I hope, because people are making a ton of wallets. It's crazy. First, I only have like 30 with 3 different blockchains.
It will be interesting to see in the future when somebody builds a platform where you will be able to see all these stats, how many claims are due and how many are not being claimed, and and then we would see like what would be the total supply and how much has been forgotten. I think when these stats will come out, it will be very interesting to see, and I think it will add lots of value to the whole network. All these stats.
Everything just says to me when I look at it, like that the bigger winners in the way that Zen is designed and the way that it's actually aligning and going is that the better play, and again, it's in this project, it's about everybody playing it best possible. It's not about the other guy losing so that you can win. That's not the big picture of Zen, and that's not where the big gains are going to come from. So if everybody just keeps into the ecosystem and participates and keep minting, the better play will be those who are consistency and slow accumulation and picking your spots in terms of gas fees and keeping yourself organized, well organized, and not forgetting your claims and spreading them
Yeah.
out so that you don't get caught by spikes in gas fees, and expecting that could happen, that it's no big deal. You can nuke a mint. If you paid $5 to mint something and it's too expensive to claim on that day or that week, it's not a big deal. But at the end of the day, when all your minting is claimed and you've got your bags ready to stake or whatever, how much did you pay for your average Zen is going to be what matters, and how much you have.
And that's why it's also important not to put all the end days on a, let's say, 100 mints on one day or one Saturday, because it could backfire. When you say that the gas may be really high, as you say, really strategically. Like today, there was a nine way. I did some addresses, and it was really smooth and really nice. And it gives you better edge. At the end when you catch these lows.
Absolutely. I mean, you can even look into it so well and take the time to think about things like maybe it's not a good time to end your stakes, to end your mints, in the month of May or June, right? Because those are traditionally quite bullish, right? So if you're choosing 300 and you have a choice in the range, you might want to skip that 60-day period, right? Like things as well thought out as that actually become relevant. And those who do their own research and manage it, keep to managing it well, are definitely have an advantage.
And also, like when mint may be too expensive, and let's say you have to pay 5 times more, the worth of or I mean, like, it may be cheaper for you for this, well, for the same amount you would pay for the claim mint, you could buy maybe more on a market that particular moment than you would get from your claim mint. Also, that could happen, and you're better off that way.
Right. Or even better, you bought it before that at the cheaper price when everybody was bearish for whatever reason or fearful, and it was dirt cheap or at the bottom price, and you swooped in and grabbed it. Then when that happens, you don't even have to worry about it. Like, you can go on the market, but it will likely be more expensive because of that, because the gas fees are high. So obviously more people will want to go buy it on the market. Those who do the play, taking a 1-year slice, are going to have much more trouble in optimizing than those who are looking at a longer timeline. They'll have much more options and possibilities and time frames to work with.
Plenty of Excel spreadsheets and and formulas, that's for sure.
Well, yeah, there's tools. I mean, there's tools being developed as of now already, and people are getting on, bringing that to the community. That'll probably be one of the first aspects of specific Zen applications. And then we were talking in that big conversation about what brings value to a currency and how to go about it and all that stuff. Someone pointed out, like, one of the next, maybe after that, one of the very fast applications we can see is that as soon as there's any bullishness in the market, it's easy to see that there are devs out there and projects that are going to want to capitalize on the user base of Zen, and they're going to start offering coins and creating projects which integrate the Zen users, maybe offering to, couple coins with them, or get access to coins and use their Zen and whatever, and at whatever the price is or whatever the mechanism. So we'll likely see Zen specific things start coming.
I believe, I don't want to name other projects, but I think people will take some of the knowledge and some of the mechanics which we have in a hex, and wrap stakes, and probably wrap some from some Zen, and tokenize it, or even make it with a time release, and things like that will be transferable. Like, I think there's so many options which will come out, like build different derivatives, I would say.
Exactly. There was a guy who brought that point up yesterday, Steve Vision. It was a great point. He was talking about products that already exist where they're basically wrapped portfolios, kind of using that mechanism. I think it was maybe through the NFT mechanism, I'm not sure, but it was like you could have all these coins wrapped up, and they were kind of swapped and held. And what you could do with that, he was talking about taking things that were staked and were going to be unlocked in the future and wrapping them in there so that they were guaranteed in the future. So it was kind of derivatives, exactly that, derivatives on stakes, and that was going to come into play in the market. And yeah, Zen, well, obviously it's staked and minted, and there could be things relating to that. I buy your future Zen, right? Or your future stakes, and I pay you X price today to get to access to those somehow. I don't know about the details of the thing, but he elaborated quite a bit on that. He knew some devs that were doing that. Already know a bunch of projects. There's even some launching soon that use Hex. They're able to use the Hex stakes and just basically make an hourglass or something like that, where there's in and out fees, and you don't have to unstake your X. You can just use it as is. Question is, what is the speculative value? What is the value that someone can attribute to a 3-year Zen stake, for example?
That's It's a very good question, like, but it's like we can see it on a hex, in a hex ecosystem, how it's been done with Hedron and Icosa and all these now perpetuals now, how they work, and they could be sold in premium if something comes up that will put them in a pool, and but also there are different mechanisms. You don't have those here, like the bigger pays better, longer pays better. But still, you could build in the weight, the portion of the time which is in the wait time, and it could sell in, it could be done with premium.
Exactly. I mean, the important part of it, it's not so much the any price or that aspect, the details of it, but the bigger picture of that is just that the buzz and the fact that developers start focusing on a certain project, that's the great value. And it's the same thing with Hex. It's the fact of all the dissemination in the community and the size of it, that's the bigger value of Hex, than any single price point or mechanism, but really like the community and the dissemination and the holding of the value. So that's the big thing. That's the big picture. Like if Zen starts getting that, and it seemingly already has, reaching so many adopters so quickly, then when the developers start looking towards in that direction, and the market as a whole starts looking to that direction, there obviously is going to be a whole bunch of things that are going to try to be done, coupled, derivatives created, incentivizations, and all these kind of things. And the more that happens, well, it just has a snowball effect. Then there's just more people hear about Zen, and more people get involved with it, and then it's just like, there you go. That part is really unpredictable on the upside. That's where we were talking earlier, like the sky's the limit, and it's very hard to predict that part. Whereas the downside, much easier to predict and quite more limited. Kind of like Bitcoin, right? In the beginnings, you bought $100 Bitcoin, you know that the most you can lose is $100 if Bitcoin just failed completely. It's the maximum amount you can lose. You know that much. You cannot lose more than that. I mean, leveraging or anything like that apart, but the upside, you have no idea. It's unlimited. Sky's the limit. Here we have the same scenario. We have a disinflationary minting mechanism, very similar to Bitcoin's mining difficulty, and our basically floor price reasonably is around gas prices. Like that's the most you can lose. I mean, you could lose it all, but it gives a good idea. But on the upside, we have no clue.
Oh.
Any admins here?
Hi, what's up?
Yeah, somebody requested to talk.
Got it.
Thank you. I'm unmuted. Can you hear me well?
Yeah,
Yeah.
loud and clear.
Thank you. I've been listening to you guys. I like it. And you guys were talking about Bitcoin as well, right? And I, I was
Yeah.
yeah, I was wondering if you think about Bitcoin and Satoshis, can you imagine how many zeros a Satoshi has? A Bitcoin has. It's like 21 million times 18 zeros. And plus 18 zeros. That's what, like 24 zeros. So
Right.
everybody's always talking about one Bitcoin, but it's much more than that.
Right. Yeah.
So I think with Xen, um, the price is not even interesting like for the coming 1 or 2 years. It's all about adoption in my mind. In my mind.
Agreed. Very much so. So I think you have the correct, uh, you're aligning with the project, which is most beneficial to you because every project is different, and unless you align and understand what the project is actually about, how can you actually use it properly or invest in it properly, right? Some things are short term, you got to be quick in and out, highly speculative, high risk plays, and then the others are more so investments and much longer timelines. And if you play the short play on the long term, you're not gonna benefit.
No, and I think I've been in crypto since 2018, beginning of 2018, and I've seen a lot of projects and I've seen a lot of hype and everything. But something like this coming around with open source and just free for the public, and I don't think that the crypto space is recognizing yet what this is. This could, okay, because we don't know where it's going, of course, but this could be this could be one of the best there is, because there's not an admin, there's not a team wallet, there's not a supply, there's not, it's just open source, everybody can join. And I think even the people who will hear about it in like 2 years time, they're still not too late. So I mean,
Absolutely.
I,
Absolutely. If you did the
yeah,
math, you looked at the calculator, you plugged in the numbers, you understand how it actually works, you
yeah,
will see that absolutely for the next year or two, nobody's late at that point of being like late, quote unquote. And that's also, we can't know because it's relative to the adoption and the use case and all that stuff, the network. It could be even further down the road that people are quote unquote late.
yeah,
It's like Bitcoin, right? Like when is
yeah.
late for
It's
Bitcoin?
Yeah, well, you're late now. I think, I mean, it can only do like 5 times or whatever, but it doesn't even matter. Like what um, I'm in a crypto group, right? With like how many, like 7,000 members. I'm an admin over there, and I'm talking about Xen. And what most people's like, yeah, it's it's the supply will go like really high and the price going down, etc. The only thing I think more than 90% is looking at like supply and price, but they don't see what this is all about. They don't see what adoption can be all about. They don't see what it can all about. Really decentralized, project token, um, what it can mean for the crypto in general.
Exactly. It's what we could what we call the difference between price and value, right? They're two very
Right,
different.
right.
People only see the price, and a lot of
Yeah,
market participants, I would say, um, new, people are new to investment and understanding financial assets as a whole, because there's an extreme gamut of different financial assets of very different vehicles, very different purposes in a portfolio. And I think many people come in the crypto space and they're treating the different cryptos as being like the only thing, the only form of investment, and they're gaining their understanding from that. But you have to understand what it is that you're actually investing in to be able to allocate properly in terms of risk reward ratio, and also time horizons. And
yeah,
even in the crypto space, there's different kind of cryptos and different classes. So yeah, those are the people that are more versed, do see that.
yeah. And I think, as been talked about as well, I've seen a lot of videos about it. I've got two young children, 8 and 10, and today I joined 5 days ago, 6 days ago. I decided today to make their own wallets and put it on Polygon and BSC, put some like $20-$25 on it, and learn them about what is money and what is investment and what can happen in crypto, etc., and teach them about Xen, and or how do you call it, Xen doesn't really matter, does it? And just to learn them, get engaged with crypto. So, and I hope a lot of other people will do as well.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Super. I mean,
I'm really starting with it. They've got their own phones, so make a MetaMask for
Polygon
them, and that's it.
Polygon is a great aspect of the project. I mean, every every one of those chains has their place, and but
Yeah,
Polygon definitely a great tool in that, in the onboarding, and that was kind of clear from the beginning. And it's interesting to see yesterday or day before it flipped over Binance, right? So at first it wasn't
it
going
did.
as fast as Binance. It was not quite as quick as Binance. Binance like really went up there quick to 1 point some million initially, and Polygon was going a little slow at first, but it overtook it, and I think that makes total sense, and it
It
creates
does.
onboarding. Yeah.
It does, because Binance is really the Jeet. It's the gamble chain, right? People think, oh, it's free. Let mint something and then sell it. It's the gamble chain, in my opinion.
Yeah, and
Uh,
and the cost, like relatively speaking, yes, it is cheaper, but if you really look at it, like the value of using the Polygon and its very cheap cost is very
yeah,
interesting for a huge part of the market.
there's this one thing I'm thinking about, and really how this will play out is, the price difference in change. I told a friend of mine today. I told him about Xen, and told him about the difference between Ethereum, Binance, Polygon, etc., etc. And I said, yeah, I'm at this moment I'm busy on Binance chain, but I did on Polygon as well in the beginning. And he said, "Oh yeah, then I print a lot. I mint a lot on BSC, and then I sell it on Ethereum." I said, "No, mate, that's not how it's going to work out." But his reaction is what made me think: how will the difference in price will play out to the general public? What do you think about? What's your thought about it?
Okay, so you mean the difference in price on the different chains, and how
Yeah,
that will Right.
how that will
Okay.
play out, because most people really, I'm not like I'm the educated one, not at all, but most people don't understand the difference between the change, the gas prices, liquidity, etc., etc. And I think that's where a lot of information should go, so people would understand what the difference is and also the price difference. What's your thought about it?
Right. So it's a very good question and very interesting to look at. So the way I would explain it, and I even would think of explaining this to young people, children that are learning, because I think they can understand it, even though it's a little bit.
In this case, I'm talking about a 40-year-old guy, right? So he thought,
Okay.
there's no
Well,
difference. So
regardless, at 40-year-olds, there won't be at 40-year-old there won't be an issue. But the point is this: is that on the one hand, you have the price, the initial price point, the gas cost, and obviously it's very low on Polygon. So you can say, well, that means it's going to be very low. But you have to look at the total economic energy, okay? And Jack spoke of this, and I think, very appropriately that this be mentioned, that the economic energy and the velocity, okay, that's the speed and the amount of transactions
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
the overall market, right? These contribute as well to the what we could call the economic energy. And every user that onboards and uses Polygon may have just paid a very low price to buy their Zen, but they represent a pool of economic potential energy, in terms that they have a salary, they go to work, they have things, wants and needs that they want to spend. So that increase in number, even though when you add up all the initial cost of buying the coins may be much lower, you actually have an added amount of users, of interest, of possible network effect, and that's an added economic energy. So on the long term, what you'll notice is that there's going to be where you'll have more than you thought on the price, than just having calculated it by simple arithmetic of the initial investment, of the cost of the gas. Do you understand what I'm saying here?
Yeah, I do understand. I think my 8-year-old won't, but it doesn't matter. The thing is, I really do understand, and I know how it works. So don't get me wrong here. The thing is, which I'm really thinking about how to. I'm not going to solve it, but just to discuss it, is when you've got like Bitcoin or Ethereum or even Doge or whatever. If you go on Polygon, you see the price, the same price as it is on Ethereum and on BSC and Avalanche. The thing is, people don't look at the way it's calculated, right? Against AVAX, against BSC, against Ethereum, etc. What the people see is the price, the actual price, and also most people only look at dollar price and not at like against BNB Ethereum. But forget about that. The thing is, if they see it on like Polygon, they see like maybe like 5 zeros and a one, and they see it on Ethereum with 3 zeros and a one, and those will never match up because there's a difference. But that
Right.
will always, like on coin market cap, like where a lot of people go and look for new coins and information about crypto, there will always be a difference. And I think that could be a problem in the future, where people don't understand the difference between the difference in the price, especially the newbies, or nah, it's too negative, but new people coming into crypto, which Xen is all, of course, perfect for. You understand what
Right.
I'm saying here?
Yeah, yeah, I understand what you're saying. Uh, I had raised, like, for example, one issue quite early on, just in regards, for example, this is kind of relates to, it's not exactly that, but like, for example, what will be the Zen that is accepted by merchants. If we get to that point, right? Which one? So if I want to sell a T-shirt and I'm saying I charge 1,000,000 Zen for it, which Zen are we talking about? Is it Polygon Zen or the Binance Zen?
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
so that could be a source of confusion, right? So I asked that to Jack, and his answer was, well, because Jack seems to be, the way he goes about things is one thing at a time, and just like be flexible and adapt to the market. Okay, if ever other chains come out and they're very interesting, he's willing to deploy there. And so his response was, I think we'll be using the Zen from Ethereum for that purpose, because I was thinking of, should we have a master Zen, one which aggregates all the values but has a specific price and is not the one that you can mint on any of the chains, but it aggregates all the price, and that's the one merchants will use, for example. But his answer was just simply, no, I think it'll be good enough to just use the one on Ethereum, and we'll agree on that one. And then, and if you notice, that's the one that's called Zen. It's not called eZen.
No, it's not each MGen or whatever. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah, it's just Zen, right? But on the others, it's P Zen, B Zen, M Zen.
MGen, etc. Yeah.
Right. So the more I thought of it after he responded, and I gave it some thought for a day or two, it's like it really did make perfect sense. And the more I think about it, the more it makes sense, because there's a good chance that Ethereum's going to be the underlying layer that'll be probably using Zen and being the bigger market player ultimately in bringing about all the chains. So it truly made sense. Now, to the question, are people able to learn or understand that the ratios are different, and that ultimately, if they want to use it for certain applications, they need to use cross-chain applications like Stargate, right? And they can arbitrage this, right? So you can have this, and this relates to what I was saying earlier. You can have Polygon Zen initially, but because of the economic energy on Polygon and the user adoption, the ratio, which maybe initially was 1,000 to 1, when you went to use Stargate and swap it over to Ethereum Zen, was only giving you 1,000 to 1.
Yeah.
That might come down to 600 to 1. And at that point, you might see it as an opportunity to arbitrage, right? You could say, well, now's a good time to sell my Polygon Zen, for example, as opposed to another of the chains. And I'm going to swap it for Ethereum Zen, or maybe even another one, because they're at a low point, or you find it's kind of a good time to buy that one. And people be able to understand this and learn it? I think so. And I mean, I think it's quite basic. Do we have to wrap everything? Does everything have to be wrapped and facilitated to that extent? But I do understand your point. It'll probably just be a point of understanding that the community and the overall market is going to have to learn and really clearly establish, until there's some other way of making it even easier. It could happen that there's other mechanisms that come into play, but like an aggregator, a master Zen, whatever. But
This is
Yeah.
also my view.
Oh,
Like
sorry.
I see, as I think I spoke about it also previously, that there will have to be, like you say, master Zen or a stable Zen. But then, what would be the underlying peg? This is the biggest question we don't know how to answer.
yeah,
Is
but
it going to be
no,
the
it's not a peg. It's an aggregator, and it requires a lot of live interactions and liquidity, and it's kind of a complex mechanism, and it just introduces somewhat some risk and complexity, which might be done, but we don't know what the market will do. But the way Jack explained it, and I gave thought to it, I just see that it's quite fine as it is. The master Zen is the Ethereum Zen, and it's called Zen. And I think that the applications or whatever the like Stargate and those kind of things at low cost will be sufficient, I think, and keep things more simple and less introducing less complexity and risk and third party players having to manage all that, you know?
Yeah, and do we know of if it's is it possible to bridge to yet Zen, or it's hasn't been done yet? Do you know of anyone who
It
has
is
done it? Or
possible. It is possible technologically. It's just that we need time for the liquidity providers to want to come into play, from my understanding as of now. So like Stargate can do it, and you could swap Zen for Zen. So you could take your Polygon Zen and get Ethereum Zen in one swap. But for the technology to work, in fact, you have to have the liquidity pools on each side. And the way Stargate functions, which is like an atomic swap, is basically it's open to anybody who wants to provide the liquidity on the different chains. So once you have the liquidity, the supply there, and those who want to supply it and take that trade, right, for the fees, then there's no problem. The technology is already there.
so I would have to provide liquidity on ETH Zen and BNB Zen in a Stargate protocol. Or I have to do, let's say, USDC to Zen on ETH
Yeah,
and BNB
yeah. You
stable.
don't have.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think all you need to do is choose one side, whatever side you want, and you're coupling with the USD side, right? So you can do just like the ETH side and provide the liquidity there. You'll be getting USDT in exchange for providing the ETH then, and then you're building the liquidity. And other come in, and then you have a big liquidity that are providing on the ETH side, and other players can do it on the Polygon side, but they'll get USDT as well, or a stable coin for their Zen.
Because what I'm thinking now, like that, we see random big buys on Zen on a DEX screener, you know, and whether this is not people are buying it just solely to provide liquidity, because as the liquidity is very low, you can get a very good percentages, you know, on it. So I'm speculating whether this is not reason why people are buying it, you know, yet.
Well,
So
I
they
mean,
have
now
liquid and yeah.
it's a risky trade. I mean, it depends on what side of the trade you want to be, but like what you're doing, you personally on V2, I mean, people don't want to put millions of dollars providing liquidity like that. You're doing it for experiment, but right now, you know, MXC did it. MXC did it. I don't know what the result of that all was, but obviously they were trying to capitalize on the initial FOMO and just create a little artificial market there, take the fees, dump the Zen, some of the Zen that they had minted at high prices, and figured there was some money to make there, you know, and some customer satisfaction for being the first to open the market. But now after a week or a month, I think people will understand that the price is still in price discovery, and you know, they're gonna be careful of the liquidity, what side of the liquidity they get on, and even buying, you know, be selling or buying. You know, you have to understand the what's the fair price to not get wrecked. Zen is a moving target. It's a moving target right now, the price discovery. It's a very fast moving target. Do you want to provide liquidity when it's going that quickly? Do you feel that you're able to predict where it's supposed to be and where, you know, and that you'll be able to?
Yeah, well, this is my thing. Like, we kind of can say, based on, I know it's a very small sample size, 7 days, but I think we can kind of say the trend. You know, like when we were speaking 1 hour ago, that if you minted on a day one with a 9 day period, you kind of are following the price, you know, now, and it's going down, so you are not you're still in a very little profit or
Yep.
you're breaking even. So until 100-day, maybe we can predict what's going to happen with the price, you know?
Right, but for the liquidity provider, that's only a mathematical number. If they can't sell it, that moving target is changing within hours or days. So how do they unload it? How do they? It's losing value. So how do you take that? How do you ensure that whatever you're taking on one side, you're going to be able to unload on the other, and at what price? Like how do you manage that part, and in what quantities?
By the way, I'm back. I was just caught up for 5 minutes. Sorry about that.
Sure. What I'm saying, Ali?
Yeah, I get it. Yeah, I'm just thinking about it now, like how to, you know,
Kind of like trying to catch a ball while you're skiing down a slope there.
yeah. Stargate protocol, yeah, you say Stargate.
To go for a few minutes here right now. I'll be back in a bit.
Yeah.